Surprise, it's me. We're starting a little bit early on the next CIRF report that starts on 17th of October, 2024. And doing this early because it's a full moon on that day. So I want to give you guys the maximum amount of time to prepare. This looks to be some big energy this week. We start with a breakthrough in the Aries full moon. It's over a grand cross. And then the rest of the week is sort of like a hero's journey. And we'll get into all the specifics, but here's our overview. Got the grand cross. This happens on Thursday, the 17th. That's the full moon in Aries. It is conjunct with Chiron. We'll get into that. The other things this week are huge as well. Venus goes into Sagittarius. Sun goes into Scorpio. Still have a grand water trine early on in the week. The T-square is all week long, and there's a mutable water signature in the background. So those are the big things. And even that doesn't scratch the surface to all the stuff. We're just not going to cover all the stuff. We're going to get big picture. I'm going to get you archetypes for each of these alignments and energies. And then we're going to get into the solutions. By the way, the I-Ching confirms the energy of the Aries full moon over the Grand Cross and the hero's journey. It's I-Ching 43, determination and breakthrough. And that's a direct match to everything I said. The dream bot looks really interesting. Got a lot of linguistics in it. Just basically, it is poised for change. The collective unconscious is poised for change. So it's a very high congruency score. It's the first time ever all of this has been directly on top of each other. Might as well be a congruency score of 100%. All right, let's get going. And a huge shout out to you. Never hear the one. Yeah, got it in one try. Now, you win the best comment award. And you know what? Just huge shout out to all of you for the dialogue and the comments. It's eye-watering this week. And you never hear the one. Says the birthing process begun in 1987, midwife arrival in 2012, and nearing culmination. Man, that speaks very close to the energies of this week, and I think that's why everybody liked that comment, including myself. But thank you, everybody, for commenting. It really does make a difference, and I enjoy reading everybody's take on things. Speaking of take on things, I don't have groupings, but when I read these linguistics, I think it'll be pretty clear that we're looking at October stories. We know things will change. Anons or anonymous keeps opening links to help that change, i.e. disclosure, truth, and then communities agree to choose life. That's at the end. So let me read these linguistics. October day years. Reality should vary, precognition change. In other words, we all know things are going to change. Number 2, tell the sleeping ones will stories. So they're going to hear all about the stories. And anonymous links open help. In other words, anonymous it's going to open up all these links. Oh, man. Number 4 is interesting. Hot related check. Community continuing name agree. Choose life. Choose life. All right, there we have it. So take from it what you will. Let's move on to the astrology. We're early on in our eclipse cycle. There's the full moon in Aries. Energy windows, the Magellan of the collective, tempest, there's a storm brewing, or it's already here. In this week, I've already mentioned all these important things: full moon, Venus changing signs, Sun changing signs, and then we have the Grand Cross with the reds in there. Here's your energy graph for intensity purposes. it really is intense, and it does change. From the beginning of the week, it's much more like determination because of the Aries full moon. By the end of the week, it's more like the hero's journey, but that determination still lingers. And so you get both. You get the tempest, you get well, I also need to include the background water, the mutable water background signature in this. Anyway, it's all intense, and you'll see why. Starts off with a bang on Thursday, the 17th, full moon in Aries, 24 degrees, 35 minutes. And that happens at 6:26 a.m. Central Time. The full moon is conjunct with Chiron, and as you can see, it creates a grand cross. You have 4 squares, you have 2 oppositions, and this is said to be very conflicting and pressurized. And in this one in particular, it's Pluto opposed to Mars on the opposite axis as the sun and the full moon. So this is very contentious, but it's a very powerful crucible of transformation. Okay. As I read this, I will bring this to the front. Here's your picture for the Grand Cross. The configuration intensifies the process of alchemical change, forcing individuals to confront their deepest wounds and shadows. It is trial by fire. Remember, it's the full moon in Aries conjunct with Chiron on a Grand Cross. It is trial by fire, a journey through the underworld of the psyche that demands courage, resilience, and a willingness to surrender to the transformative process. Through this kiln, the old self is burned away, allowing the emergence of a new, more integrated, and empowered being. The Grand Cross at the full moon, you may feel intense emotional and psychological upheaval. The risk of becoming overwhelmed or consumed by the transformative process. A lot of people are going to be hanging on to the way things have been, and that's going to be problematic for them. I'll get into the mutable water later because it's not yet started. But that's going to allow us to change and adapt, but not right now. Difficulty in maintaining balance and stability amidst the chaos. But also there's a potential for profound healing of deep-seated wounds and patterns. And then the other thing to note here on Thursday the 17th, that Venus, where is she? Right here. She's at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Is going to move into Sagittarius at 2:28 p.m. We're going to talk about that on the next slide. And on Friday, the 18th, this is where we have Venus already in there. We're just looking at midday here. Look at all these lines. These all, most of these you already know, like the Grand Water Trine is back there. We have the T-square on the sun with the power movers, Mars, Pluto, and Sun in Libra. And then we'll talk about some of these other lines later. But for now, it's the Venus in the Sagittarius. And that embodies the archetype of the centaur. And it's a female centaur. Whoop, bring her up here. And forgot to bring the order. So, it's the mythical creature known for the adventurous spirit, philosophical wisdom, and untamed nature. Wild. This archetype represents the fusion of animal instinct and human intellect. She symbolizes the quest for knowledge and truth and personal growth, It encourages us to embrace our wild side, an untamed side, while also seeking to expand our minds and broaden our horizons. Thank you, Venus in Sagittarius. And by the way, this is when the mutable water background signature develops. And that is aside from all the other alignments. Background signature in some astrology circles say that it's just an important influence overall. It's sort of like the canvas on the painting. It's you can see the textures as you put all the paint on top of the canvas. You can still see the quality of the canvas or the texture thereof. So it does matter. But there are obviously lots of trines, lots of 3 oppositions, lots of squares. And so we're being pushed and pulled in a lot of different areas. The mutable water signature is the emotional alchemist. You're going to possess the ability to transform your emotions into a source of strength and creativity. And that's going to be extremely important as we continue, because you already saw the sort of the hero's journey, and that is going to appear again. But by embracing the fluidity of your feelings, you can adapt to any situation and find the hidden gold with even the most challenging experiences, which I believe we're on the precipice of, as if things weren't challenging enough. Sunday the 20th, I'm going to focus on Sun in conjunct Neptune, because that is the tightest alignment on today, Sunday the 20th. And it's the wounded healer. It's correlated nicely with that full moon conjunct to Chiron. But the wounded healer is a figure who must confront their own pain, disillusionment, and sense of disconnection to find healing and purpose. In other words, we're going to be going through this, difficulty, not just to go through difficulty for the sake of suffering, but to transform and heal. Transform and heal. So this archetype represents the struggle to maintain a sense of balance and harmony in a world that feels chaotic and uncertain. If you haven't noticed yet, this is the pattern all week long. A week of struggle towards the transformation and healing. Opportunities this week, or this day, Sunday, with the inconjunct, Sun in conjunct Neptune, is increased spiritual awareness and intuitive abilities. Opportunity for deep emotional healing and transformation. Potential for artistic and creative inspiration. But watch out, because this inconjunct might produce a tendency to avoid confrontation or conflict. That's the escapist Neptune. You might have a tendency to trap or repress your emotions, and then high risk of escapism or addiction. Monday, the 21st, is not really any change other than the mutable gets stronger, so we get even more adaptable in our background signature. The grand water trine is finished, is complete, but the T-square on the sun continues and remains for quite a few more days. On the 22nd, the Tuesday, that's when the sun goes into Scorpio. Now, this is the dark night of the soul because it's still in that T-square to the 2 power players, the 2 rulers of Scorpio. We have the dark night of the soul. That's when you have to descend into the depths of your own psyche to confront your darkest fears, desires, and shadows. This archetype represents the hero's journey through the underworld of the self, facing intense challenges in power struggles. Maybe get this picture ordered correctly. Well, I won't do it. There. No. All right, I'll just live with it. It's a path of intense self-discovery, requiring great courage, resilience, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. So we have in this sun going into Scorpio as it's being T-squared, brings a profound psychological insight and self-awareness, or increased power and ability to affect change, and hopefully a deep transformative healing. On Wednesday, this highlights all week, we haven't talked about it, the power, I haven't used this term, but the pressure cooker, the power pressure cooker. Power because of Pluto and Mars, and in a T-square, Pluto and Mars in an opposition brings the pressure cooker. We have 5 more days, so that brings us to the 28th of October is when this pressure cooker energy finally kaputs. And there you have it. A lot less lines now, but still not ordered. A lot of pressure. It looks like there's almost a T-square developing with Venus. We'll see that next week. See if that exists. And let's get into the I-Ching now. It's 43 with change line 1, 2, and 5. That's some resolution is pointing to a breakthrough. And I know we feel like we are ready for one. I know a lot of people on social media are talking about, I don't know. I sense that something big is coming. And I think it might be here. Change line 1 says advancing forcefully. You might feel excitement about taking action, anxiety about potential dangers. Change line 2, a cry of alarm. Arms at evening and night, fear nothing. You might feel heightened alertness and tension, courage in the face of danger. Change line 5 says, do not eat all the juicy lemons yourself, share them with others. There is a danger if you cross the river alone. So on this line, you might feel temptation to keep rewards for yourself, the concern about losing allies. And so here's just a quick summary of things you might feel. Determination to overcome obstacles, frustration with resistance from others, excitement about impending changes, confident in one's ability to lead, impatience with slow progress, pride in standing up for one's beliefs. All right, so let's summarize here so we can move on to the solution. Our energy profile for the week is not for the week. Nice pun, huh? That is for sure. We start off the festivities with a full moon in Aries conjunct Chiron on a powerful and ominous grand cross with Mars and Pluto. The pressure cooker T-square remains strong all week, especially when the sun enters Scorpio. Transformation is inevitable, but the hero's journey might be, to be realistic, might be anxiety-ridden, isolating, emotionally painful, and escapism prone. Fortunately, the Aries full moon affords courage, confidence, willpower, and lots of strength. And the mutable water signature gives us the adaptability and intuitive power to be able to learn from these experiences and transform the collective. All right, here's the solution. Put our change lines in. We get 62, attention to detail. Ambitious undertakings are not in order, but attention to small matters brings decent progress. Avoid pretentious ambitions and grandiose goals. Here's some suggestions. Practice modesty and humility. Pay attention to small details. Focus on gradual progress rather than grand gestures, and be prudent in speech and action. The biggest energy this week is that full moon in Aries, and it happens in 24 degrees of tropical Aries. Put that in our conversion, we get Rave mandala of 42, gate 42, and we also get Pisces as our sidereal astrology. Let's start with the Rave. This is the gate of increase, and line 5, self-actualization, the fulfillment and actualization of purpose as a natural path whose reward is a healthy sense of self rather than the power and influence that naturally follow. Growth, I'm losing my voice here, growth that is self-fulfilling and naturally leads to influence. So let me break this down, or put it into an archetype as the enlightened catalyst. It works perfectly with the hero's journey that we've been seeing and the courage that we've been seeing all week. This is someone who has done the inner contemplative work to gain wisdom and self-understanding. And basically, it's knowing yourself. From this place of inner knowing, you are then able to spark inspiration and positive transformation in the world around you, but not because you're trying to. It just naturally does. So you're not focusing on the influence. You're focusing on understanding yourself, a healthy sense of self, and that catalyzes into influence naturally. All right, let's summarize and remember the solution. We were looking for attention to detail, hexagrams, I-Ching 62. We have the Rave mandala of self-actualization. It's basically getting to know yourself, and that makes sense, right? Going through hard times. If you do that in a healthy way, you really do learn a lot about yourself, especially when you start looking back on those hard times in hindsight. Remember, we have Sidereal Pisces and we have a full moon. This week's energy profile seems to unlock incredible opportunities for self and the collective. The overlap across every modality here is going deep within. The I-Ching 62 is a conscientious mental space, while the Rave, the full moon, and Pisces are all associated with intuition, deep emotions, spiritual connection and influence, and more. The Rave summarizes this overlap the best. Find your individual path that fulfills and actualizes you as you pay attention to nuances and learning along that path and growth. A natural and non-demanding influence manifests outwardly to the collective. Embrace the transformative journey with courage and self-compassion, recognizing that pain is a necessary part of the process. It's not guaranteed this week. Not everybody's going to feel pain or emotional pain or problems. But if they do, remember it's part of the process. Remember, no escapism. Lean into any of the discomforts that you find yourself in. All right. And then we have the plant. Plant's going to be motherwort. If you want to take a snapshot, this is the herb of Venus. This plant of the week is brought to you by Sean Elizabeth Nelson, and let's give her a wonderful shout out for her work. Motherwort. It is generally believed through ancient cultivation records that motherwort, native to the southeastern Europe and Central Asia, she has been used medicinally for many thousands of years to induce a lion's heart effect, both physically and emotionally, also known as lion's ear and lion's tail. This herb corresponds to the fire element and also to the moon. An easy herb to find online. It can be used as a heart tonic, liver bitter, nerve sedative, and much more. Culpeper called motherwort the lion-hearted herb. Famously said, motherwort fills your heart with the courage and strength of a lion. It gives us determination. Motherwort is correlated to Venus because in ancient Egypt and the Middle East, the creator goddess was depicted with and as lions in many forms. Through the goddess archetype, the lion archetype of the sun represented strength, protection, and the essence of creation, the womb space, and the birth process. There's a lot of history here. During this full moon and the powerful grand cross, Venus, at the anaretic degree of Scorpio, requires the death and transformation of something that blocks the heart. There is only one way to unblock the heart, and that is to break it. Whether this is personal or collective, emotional or physical in manifestation, there is a tremendous support for Venus in this transit through her trine to Mars, Nettle, and Pluto, skullcap, and for permanent and positive change at this time. May not seem like it, but we are all strong and brave enough for the trials that provoke our growth as they heal and transform us, leaving behind wisdom about who we were sent here to be or who we agreed to come here to be. When you must surrender to let go, your lion, let your lion heart break. And includes where we go one, we go all. Amen. All right, leaving it here for the summary slide. Looks to be a pretty difficult terrain this week, but you have the tools and our solution. It is a very deep spiritual week, in my opinion. It's about self-actualization. It's about paying attention as we, like that I-Ching just sort of stays the same week in and week out for the last few months. It's like pay attention, small steps forward, don't take big leaps. And of course, the Pisces and full moon are about going deep within, using your intuition and honing those skills as well. And then when you do, naturally, when you get into your individual path and do it really well and self-actualize, that will naturally bring out positive influence to the collective. So let's do it. Let's do it, people. Let's hold together and let's make it through. We'll see you in the next report next week. Take care, everybody. Love and light. Bye.